In this video, I'm going to show you how to install kitchen wall cabinets, which are also known as the upper cabinets of a kitchen. And if you're new to this channel, my name's Josh. This channel is all about DIY to save a ton of money. So be sure to subscribe, ring that bell so you get notification every time I release a new video, and hammer that like button for me. That's all I ask in return for making this video. So we got a lot to go over today, so let's get started. This is part 2 of a 3-part video series. In the first part, we installed the base cabinets, and in this part, we're going to install the kitchen wall cabinets. And the last part's going to be installing the laminate countertops, which is going to be the next video. The kitchen wall cabinets I'll be installing came from Lowe's, and this is a 30-inch cabinet. If you would like to check them out, I'll put a link to them in the description below. But something about these cabinets is that they are to be mounted on the wall after the base cabinets. A lot of people claim it's best to install the wall cabinets first, but I have a method that makes it much easier to install right off the base cabinets using this tool here. Okay, maybe it's not really a tool, it's really just a wooden box, but it's a special wooden box. It measures 19¼ inches tall, and it's also 36 inches long, so that way we can straddle areas such as where the dishwasher is going to be and where the range is going to be. And we're going to install our cabinets right off this. So we're going to set our cabinets on top of this box. We're going to level it up with shims and screw it right to the wall. It doesn't get much easier than that. And also I have 1x lumber on the bottom of this. If you want to build this yourself, just put your tools in while you're working so they don't fall off the edge of the box, and it keeps it square and sturdy. So this is the secret to installing wall cabinets fast and easy. A couple things you should know before installing wall cabinets. The first thing is you should have blocking at this location in your wall so that you can place a screw through these 2 wood strips to secure the wall cabinet properly to the wall. So there should be blocks running back in here, which we built this house, so we did install them, so we know they're there. Another thing, you want to pre-drill for your screws. I have a little wooden block that I keep in that box I just explained to you, and this is going to be a template that we're going to slide in from the inside so that we can pre-drill real quick and easy in the back of our wall cabinets. So we're going to first pre-drill in these cabinets for our screws. So this is going to be our first cabinet we install. You always start from your corner cabinet and work out both ways. You never work from the middle of your run and then try to end perfectly in the corner. It will never happen. So you always start with your corner cabinet, whether it's your base cabinet or the upper cabinets. So we're going to start with this by pre-drilling the holes for the screws. For the corner cabinet, I'm going to place 4 screws on this side and 4 screws on the other side. Now on the other wall cabinets, it's just going to be 4 screws total, 1 in each corner. We are now pre-drilled and ready to set the wall cabinet up on our box. He's going to place the box back in the corner. We're going to sit this right on top there. You can see just how useful this technique is. The cabinet's sitting right on the box. It's already at the right height. Now we need to check to make sure we're setting level just like the base cabinets in the last video, but we already leveled up the base cabinets really well, so it should take minimal shimming to get that correct, but your wall could be out some and you could have to manipulate it that way. We're going to use our level, check the sides, check top, see if we need any adjustments done. All right, I need to place a little shim here. All right, we're setting perfectly level that way. I'm going to check this way. All right, we're setting perfectly level that way. We can also check the sides just to make sure they're setting properly. So this cabinet is setting exactly where we want it to be installed. We're now going to open up the door and place screws in through the holes we pre-drilled for and anchor it to the wall. The screws that I'll be anchoring the wall cabinets to the wall with are these 2.5-inch cabinet screws. They have the larger head so that they grab the cabinet and hold it to the wall really well. Also, if you want to purchase these, I'll put a link to them in the description below. So I'm going to open up the cabinet and place a screw in each one of the holes we pre-drilled for. Be sure not to overdrive the screws because you can damage the cabinet. Most cabinets are made out of pressed wood, which can be damaged with over tightening of screws. All right, this wall cabinet is now installed. We can remove the shim and the box and move it out of the way for our next cabinet. All we have to do is slide this over here And we're ready to install this cabinet. If you're enjoying this type of content, then you'll definitely want to check out the Excellent Labor course membership. Get instant access to all the DIY courses and downloads for just $5 a month at the time of this recording. And the best part, the library is growing, but your price won't if you lock it in today. Check out the link in the description to get started. All right, this is a 12-inch cabinet going next, and something that most wall cabinets can do. You'll see that this opens up this way. If you want to turn this around, you can have it open up this way, and you can install it from this orientation. So most of them are easily able to be flipped around and installed. And you'll notice that you have your shelving in here, so we'll go ahead and get that out of the way now. All right, so we're going to install this one in this orientation. We're going to slide it right against that wall cabinet we just installed. All we have to do, you'll see there's a little difference here. We're going to slide the shim under here. And if you remember, we had a shim under here previously. That's why we have to do this. And right there looks pretty good. And now we need to place a shim on this side. And we want to make sure we keep that tight. So we just shim it till we are tight against the other cabinet. As you can see, that looks good there. The reveal is nice and tight. Now we're going to use a clamp. This is a quick grip clamp. We're going to clamp this together up top, then right here in the bottom. The cabinet is now setting where we want it. The reveal looks good. So we now need to place 3 screws in from the side of this frame into this cabinet. We're going to be using 2 1/4 trim head screws. You'll notice there are pre-drilled holes in these cabinets, but I'm going to use my drill bit that's for my size screws and drill through that so that we can place our screw without splitting the face. Now that we got our hole pre-drilled, we're going to drive the screw in to hold it to this corner cabinet. And something I'd like to mention, I'm going to use a right angle impact driver because it's a tight spot. I would use a regular impact driver if this was a standard width cabinet that was wider. But for this 12-inch cabinet, this is what I have to use in this corner cabinet attachment. All right, the cabinet is now connected to this cabinet. Now we got to do that in the middle and upper side of this cabinet. We can now remove this clamp and the one underneath. Now all we have to do is install the cabinet screws in the back of the cabinet just like we did in the corner cabinet. That cabinet is now installed, and we look at our plans and we install the next cabinet accordingly. All right, our next one's 24-inch. And something important when lifting these up here, you want to hold them so that the doors don't come open because they will sling open easy. And also when they're setting up here, if you have both the doors open, be careful it doesn't fall off your box. All right, going to begin by shimming this over tight. Now we're going to place our level up here, make sure we're sitting level, and we can also check the side, make sure we're still plumb. Level shows really good there. Let's check the side just to make sure. And the side looks perfect. Something else you may have to do, if you notice a cabinet's pushed in further whenever you screw it to the wall, you may have to loosen up your screw and shim out from the back where the stud is so that it pulls it out flush. So that is something you got to watch out for. You can probably see a little better angle here compared to the last cabinet, but we're going to make sure we are lined up properly. I'm going to show you connecting this cabinet to the 12-inch cabinet. Pre-drill it. And obviously just make sure that your face is lined up and everything looks good. And then install our trim head screws. And we can use our regular impact this time. You will notice I did not use the quick grip clamps on the installation of this cabinet. That's because it lined up really nice and did not need any extra force to bring it together. So if it goes together real smooth, I usually don't use the clamps, but oftentimes I do have to use the clamps. All right, and then we just pre-drill for the back of the cabinet using our block. And then place our wall cabinet screws. That cabinet is now installed. Rinse and repeat that for the next cabinet. After installing a couple wall cabinets, you'll notice it's more or less just a rinse and repeat type situation. It's really easy to get the hang of for the most part. Now that we finished up the one elevation, we're going to move over to the other elevation to finish the wall cabinets. This row of wall cabinets starts flush with this base cabinet and it ends in the middle of the wall. So we need to plumb a line right up off the edge of this base cabinet to know where to start. That's going to be the edge of our first cabinet. So ultimately, we just installed this cabinet the same as we installed the other cabinets, other than we're lining up with this line. If you're installing cabinets and realize there is no blocking, a shortcut is to try to hit each stud with a screw. It's not code in our area we must have blocking, but in some areas it may be acceptable to do such a thing. This is where the range is going to set, and it has a microwave directly above it. And the cabinet that's going to be installed here is going to hold the microwave, and we need to drill out for the wire that's going to power the microwave. We're going to measure off this side, and we got to remember that we got to allow for the face of the cabinet, which is a 1/4 inch lip and a 1/4 inch on the other cabinet. So right here we are measuring 11.5 inch, so we really need to come over 11 from the edge of the cabinet to drill out for that wire. We also need to get the height in which we got to come down in the cabinet for the hole. We're going to place our level to get our height of the cabinet. That looks good there. So we need to come down 5 inches to drill the hole as well. So essentially come over 11 inches and down 5. Here's the cabinet we're going to install for the microwave. And don't forget, whenever you're placing your measurements, to allow for the thickness of this drop down and also the thickness of the plywood that's on the top whenever you're getting your measurements, and on the side. We already marked this. We got a 1 inch paddle bit. We're going to drill it out right here. I'm going to clamp this block here on the edge. That way when we set it up against the other cabinet, it's already going to hold itself flush. So that way we're not trying to fight lining it up perfectly. We can just use this as a straight edge. All right, I'm going to fish this wire in. All right, we're going to take this edge and sit right onto the edge of the other cabinet, and you can see that clamp's holding it flush where we need it. I'm going to go ahead and place this screw here. All right, this back corner is anchored with a screw. We're now going to level it up with our 4-foot level. And make sure you place your screws in the side like you typically would. That cabinet is now installed. Now we continue the next cabinet to butt right up against that one to continue the run. Another great thing about using the wooden box technique is that you could essentially hang cabinets by yourself if you're careful. Now it's something that I don't recommend, but you could. Here are what the wall cabinets look like after all of them were installed. They're even, they're level, they cosmetically look really good and elegant. The homeowner will be very happy with these cabinets. Because this kitchen layout did not need a filler strip, if you need to know how to place a filler strip on a cabinet, I made a detailed video about that. Check out the link in the description below to the kitchen install that I did previously. Or if you need to know how to install crown molding around the wall cabinets, I also made a video on that, and I'll put a link for that below as well. The kitchen wall cabinets are now officially installed. Couple things though, this is a protective plastic barrier on this. You may have noticed that while you're watching this video. You just peel that off, and you'd also want to place cabinet pulls. They're the little handles that you grab to open up your cabinets. And with those, you want to make a template so that you drill them all out equally, similar to the template we used to drill the back of the cabinet out with. And you also want to make sure you put in your cabinet shelving. So you have the hardware here ready to go. You just put those in the little holes in the back of the cabinet and place your shelf at whatever height you want. Very straightforward. If you're enjoying this type of content, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter. You'll get free building and DIY tips straight to your inbox. If you'd like to see how I'm going to install these laminate countertops, check out this video. It'll help you out.